Americans are starting to question something deeper than politics. Not who's racist, not who cares. The real question is, why does every conversation about black people somehow end up with us being told to feel weaker, angrier, guiltier, and more dependent than we actually are? That's why this conversation today matters, because once you really listen to these clips back to back, you realize a lot of these narratives only survives if nobody slows down and examines them.
You would still be slaves if it was for you, baby. If for white people. We would still be enslaved.
Really?
I believe that.
She believes that. She believes that, she says. I mean, that is truly an uneducated and racist take, all right? Considering almost 2 million white people, white Union soldiers, fought in the Civil War, and almost 300,000, no, over 300,000 of them, as a matter of fact, died fighting against other white people, as a matter of fact, in a fight against slavery, not for slavery, but against slavery, which undercuts the argument as is. But also, you got the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation by another white guy, Abraham Lincoln, who literally freed the slaves. And then you got Juneteenth, which was over, I think it was 2.5 years later, where more white Union soldiers marched on to Galveston, Texas to free the last remaining 250,000 slaves there. So her statement that we would still be slaves if it was up to white people is just patently and historically false, because I mean, it was up to white people, and they chose freedom, not slavery, freedom. Unless you're talking about white Democrats, I mean, then that's another story, even to this day when it comes to illegal aliens, but that's a story for another time. But this notion is one that is predicated on this narrative that minimizes the contributions of whites in efforts to help demonize white people's existence because they're white and white people bad. And that's racist.
Now, that we would still be slaves if it wasn't for white people. You know, comment is historically broken from the jump, because history is not a Marvel movie, right? There wasn't one race wearing white hats and another race wearing black hats. Hundreds of thousands of white Union soldiers died fighting slavery. You know, you could debate how he did it, why he did it, but Abraham Lincoln signed an Emancipation Proclamation. That happened. And what's interesting is modern politics keep rewarding people for simplifying history into something emotionally useful instead of factually accurate. That's why comments like that go viral. Not because they're smart, because they feed resentment clean and fast. Fast food history. And speaking of rewriting history emotionally instead of accurately, this next clip might explain why so many people are starting to side-eye Hollywood too.
This movie was the epitome of how black history is a lie used to demoralize black youth. In the movie, 3 black women endure racism at NASA even though they're doing the best work there, which of course leads to emotional outbursts from the thick, sassy black women. But when you research what actually happened to Katherine Johnson, she says that everyone was so focused on the mission that nobody cared about race. She also says that the bathrooms were not racially segregated, so the movie scene about that, the racist characters, and even the coffee pot that no one else wants to touch were all fake. The movie portraying NASA as racist was yet another way to encourage black people to view themselves as victims who will only gain respect by lashing out with emotion. Kind of like how we were told that Rosa Parks was just fed up when really she was meticulously calculated and planned her rebellion to make a statement. The portrayal of black women as chronic victims who are only heard when they yell is significantly more racist than the truth, which in this case was that an exceptional scientist was successful and respected for her professionalism, but just so happened to be a black woman.
And I work like a dog, day and night, living off a coffee from a pot none of you want to touch.
Okay, wow. Hidden Figures. The Hidden Figures conversation is bigger than a movie, right? Because notice what keeps happening. Black success is almost never allowed to stand on its own anymore. Somebody always has to inject humiliation into it. Katherine Johnson being brilliant apparently wasn't enough. Hollywood needed dramatic racism scenes too. And that changes how people see themselves. There's a difference between teaching black kids you can overcome versus teaching them every room secretly hates you. One builds discipline, the other builds suspicion. Now, once you start seeing that mindset, everywhere, this next clip is completely different.
This was in a Walgreens in New York. All the lighter shade foundations are left open, but all the darker shades are locked. It's pretty self-explanatory. Granted, that's literally how it feels like to be a Black woman in the beauty space. Sorry, not sorry. And there just comes a time where you gotta stop just overlooking things and you actually gotta speak up about something. There is so many other ways to solve the problem that they're insinuating. It's hard enough finding your shade, let alone it being locked up in a box.
Okay, without absolutely dunking on her, because that would be very easy to do, this is an example of why Black Americans struggle. And I want to keep pointing these examples out, and hopefully it starts to stick over time. And she talked about at some point you need to speak up, yes, but she's speaking up about the wrong thing. The reason darker foundations are locked up is not because they're insinuating something. They're not insinuating anything. What they're doing is they're protecting their product, which is being stolen by people who have more melanin, i.e. Black people. She's essentially talking about the foundations that she would use being locked up. That is because Black people are stealing more than people with lighter skin complexions. The store didn't just wake up one morning and be like, you know what? Let's just put a lock on Black people's stuff. Like they didn't just wake up one morning and do that. They typically do this off of like theft data and shrinkage rates. Think of shrinkage rates. That's kind of hard to say. Shrinkage rates. Try it. Anyway, think of shrinkage rates like basically the amount of inventory they have in their like sheet compared to what they actually have in person. So if they look at their inventory in the computer and it says 300 units, and then they look and they go count what they physically have and it says 291, right? There's a difference there. That difference is kind of like the shrinkage rate. Many Black people will see this and blame the stores and not look in the mirror and say, okay, well, there's probably a reason they're doing this. No, they think it's just because it's racism. And then they'll vote for politicians who will get into office and say the same thing and blame the stores rather than looking at the problem, which is Black people stealing. That is the problem. And we continue to have this mentality, and that is what runs businesses out of Black communities. And then it creates less, or I should say it destroys rather than creates, it destroys opportunities for Black Americans. And if we want to change and be better and not have things locked up behind locks, we need to work on not stealing, holding each other accountable, and becoming better. That is the solution to the problem. It's not blaming white people, history, and racism. That's not going to get us anywhere. We need to accept reality. And in this situation, reality is Black people are stealing more than other races, so the store locked up darker foundations. If we don't want them doing that, we need to not be stealing more than other races. We need to not be stealing at all, essentially. Until we adopt that accountability mindset, we're going to continue to struggle. And Democrats are going to continue to perpetuate you as a victim because it benefits them, because you continue to vote for them while your problems actually don't get solved. Democrats aren't incentivized to solve your problems because once they do, you won't need to vote for them anymore.
That's right.
Don't forget, newsletter in my bio.
That's right. Now, this is one of those conversations people avoid because of accountability feels less exciting than outrage. But businesses lock things up because products disappear. That's reality. And honestly, one of the worst things a community can do is protect bad behavior just because criticizing it feels uncomfortable, because eventually everybody pays for it, including the innocent people just trying to buy toothpaste without needing a Walgreens escort package. And once accountability enters the conversation, how do I say this? Politics usually gets real awkward afterwards.
Yeah, pundits on CNN claiming that the Black vote or Black political power is non-existent because of redistricting. Take a listen.
You literally are taking Memphis, which is a city that with Black voters, and you split it in three, stretching 3,000 miles.
Who's the current Democrat congressman there? What is it a Black congressman?
Just because Black people are allowed to like people that don't look like them?
Exactly. And that is the point I wanted you to make, because just because you're not going to have a Black congressman, why is it that a Republican can't do just as well representing Black voters as a Democrat?
Because
why
they
does
aren't
your race,
electing.
Why does your race determine your politics?
No. You're making my point, actually. The assumption is Black people. No. The assumption is Black people will only elect Black people. No, Black people are smart enough to elect.
The assumption is
let me finish. Black people will elect people who will actually represent them, who have their best interests in heart. And what Republicans have done in Tennessee is dismantle the power for Black people to have their voice.
Okay, let's just pause and just hear exactly what she's trying to communicate. According to her, this move by Tennessee prevents black people from voting, which it does not actually. Every Tennessean still has exactly one vote. Loyalty without results isn't representation. It's actually a political party taking advantage of a group, particularly the black community. That's exactly what Democrats have done for decades on end. I mean, listen, this is not even a partisan take. Think about 1964 and where black people were, especially when you talk about what's going on in their home, and then fast forward to today, do the calculation. Are they better off? Is the family better off? Are marriages better off? What about abortions? What about the economics of it all, financially, education-wise? It seems like we've taken a huge step backwards and we continue to vote for Democrats. How do you make sense of that?
The point the Vori made that stood out to me was this. Loyalty without results isn't representation. And that's heavy because a lot of politicians, they have mastered the art of sounding emotionally connected to black people while entire neighborhoods still look stuck in survival mode decade after decade. And anytime somebody asks if the strategy is working, suddenly the question itself becomes offensive. Which leads directly into this next clip. Because now people are asking, who actually gets prioritized when resources and urgency enters the room?
Black Democrats, y'all need to wake up. And I'm going to tell y'all exactly what's going on because I don't think y'all catching this. Black population, we're about 13 to 14% of the U.S. population, 13 to 14%. Black people born here, FBA, people who are here, immigrants, foreign-born people here in this country are at almost 16% of the population. Black people who've been here for 400 years, we are a less percentage of the population than all of the immigrants that are here, born here, imported here, become citizens here, not even counting the illegal ones. So now you see why the Democrats don't care about black people. They see black people as a dwindling percentage of the population. They see immigrants as growing, as being a power structure. So you see all these Democrat leaders out at detention centers. Let these immigrants out. This is wrong. Let them out. You don't see them doing that nowhere where it's black people. See, when they got the DNC, they say Beyonce is going to be at the DNC. They're going to be at the campaign. All you black people come hear Beyonce sing. But while she's singing, we got a Planned Parenthood trailer outside to help you get rid of some black kids you might not want. See, they're trying to keep that black population dwindling. They don't have trade center wagons outside. They don't got vans to help people get jobs outside. They don't got, college and enterprise vans outside helping people sign up for that. No. They've got, this is how you can get rid of children vans. That's what they got outside. Because they already see the immigrant population that they fighting so hard for, giving them free health care, free legal, free housing, free food. They fighting hard for these illegals because they say we need to give all of our time, effort to immigrants. Because if we focus on black people, we're going to end up losing. We only need a handful of black people to vote for us. That's it. We just need a handful of them. We don't need them all. Fuck them all. Let them go be Republicans. We don't care about blacks. We need to focus on the growing immigrant population because there are more immigrants here in the United States than there are black people in the United States. How does that work out? We FBA, we've been here, foundational. We helped build this place. Democrat leaders, they see this trend and they're looking at black people. Black people are like, well, Republicans are the only ones fighting to keep illegals out. Only ones fighting to keep immigration low because Republicans are fighting for the black people in this country to be more prominent. They want us to succeed here. We want to succeed here. This is our home. But yet the Democratic leaders are like, we don't care about the black people. Keep them on welfare. Give me BT. Keep them depressed. Put them in prison. We got a new class of people coming in who's willing to do the work for less and work for better. That's what they think. All we want are resources. That's it. Instead of giving these Somalis millions and billions, give it to the black community. Instead of sitting there knowing that all this fraud is going on and not doing nothing about it. Oh, let the illegals do fraud. Let the immigrants do fraud because if we get on them, they're going to leave. And if they leave, we're going to lose our voters. So they let the immigrants do all the fraudulent shit they want to do. Anytime something comes up that it's an immigrant do something, we don't care about that. We don't care. That's racism. That's racism. That's just racism. No. Republicans are like, this is not racist. It's racist for you to be black Democratic leaders to not even mention the black people you supposedly represent. That's racist. You don't even care about the black people you represent. You more focused on immigrants. Jasmine Crockett focused on immigrants. Who else? Letitia James, she was focused on immigrants and immigration and neighbors. Everybody out there focused on immigrants, and ain't nobody focused on black people, because black people are the small population and we're only getting smaller. The more we keep using Planned Parenthood, we keep getting smaller. They keep telling black folks, don't have no kids. If you have more kids, we ain't gonna help you out. But they tell immigrants, have all the kids you want. Come over, we'll pay for them. We'll give you Medicaid, medical. We'll give you food stamps for them, $5,000 a month. Have all the kids you want. Come over to America and do that, because those are the people they want. Democrats don't want black people. And one day black people are gonna wake up and realize that. Y'all better start voting Republican so the Republicans can clean all this up. Because you keep voting Democrat, you voting on your own demise. I'm telling you.
Now, whether people agree with every word he said or not, one thing is obvious. A lot of black Americans notice the energy shift. Immigration gets immediate passion, immediate defense, immediate mobilization. Meanwhile, black communities ask about crime, schools, fathers, economics, addiction, education, and suddenly everybody starts speaking vague and TED Talk language. That contrast is what people are reacting to, not just policy, priorities. And honestly, this final clip might explain why so many people feel politically homeless right now.
I used to believe that being on the left meant that you were a good person. It meant that you were someone who held kindness like a burning torch as you stumbled through the darkness of this world. Being on the left was synonymous with human rights, dignity, and fighting injustice in all its forms. At least, that was my perception as a young person. Now that I'm older, I know that nothing could be further from the truth. What I've seen is that leftism clothes itself in kindness, yet beneath it, there's often cruelty, malice, and depravity. They present themselves as human rights champions, yet at the drop of a hat, they will support the most anti-human, backward regimes so long as those regimes stand in opposition to their political enemies. They claim to hate violence, yet become gleeful in celebrating it when it's directed at someone they believe deserves it. You either believe everything they believe, or you become an enemy to them.
This is probably the deepest clip in the whole lineup, because Chico's, I believe, is his name. Chico's reality talking about, well, he's basically talking about image management. Some people grew up believing the left automatically meant kindness, morality, compassion, intelligence. But a lot of people are realizing that branding yourself as compassionate and actually being compassionate are two different things. Especially if disagreement instantly turns somebody into evil. That's not openness. That's ideological customer service with an anger problem. So at the center of all these clips is one big idea. Black Americans are obviously getting tired of being emotionally managed. Managed through guilt, managed through selective history, managed through fear. And the moment people start calmly questioning that script instead of emotionally reacting to it, I mean, just look around. Everything changes. So, if you made it to the end of this video, I want you to write full story. Yeah. Type that in the comment section for me. That way I know you made it to the end. Y'all be safe. Go check on somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.